Hello, friends. Throughout history, some great flags have represented the people of Texas. Spain, France, Mexico, Texas itself is both a republic and a Confederate state, and today is part of the United States of America. Today, we still brag about the 6 flags that have flown over Texas because there is something of lasting importance about a flag's symbolism. We in Texas set the gold standard for civic pride. The 2 flags we currently fly have no equals. There's no one in Texas that doesn't feel proud of our great country and our great state. Now, these flags were likely designed without focus groups, planning committees, or design consultants, certainly without YouTube videos. But then there's city flags. People of Palestine, Texas, this video is for you, and here's why it matters. To begin with, we have a cool city name. You hear someone pronounce our city's name wrong, you know they're not from around here. They're not one of us, and if they claim to know a thing or two, they just disqualified themselves. We are in the best position to describe our town's best features and the benefits of visiting, so we should be the biggest cheerleaders of our own hometown. A good city not having a flag is worse than a Ford salesman driving a Chevy. A city just needs to come together, define what makes it who it is. I want to talk to you about our city flag. One thing that we can do for ourselves, and no one else can do it for us. There's an old expression that goes like this: me against my brother, but my brother and me against the neighborhood. What it means is that I may fight with my brother, but when the neighborhood bully picks on him, they have to fight me too. People of Palestine, I was born in Texas. I have lived in Palestine. I have been one of you. I love the city and I love the people. This video is my parting gift to people I really care about, every one of you. We depend on each other here to be prosperous, your friends, your neighbors, and you. Anyone who's ever been on a team knows everyone's got a part to play and the whole team depends on each individual. This city is about uniting a city because that is the secret to a city's economic success. I'm talking about unity. Unity means coming together. Some people embrace unity, some folks fight for it and draw a line against allowing any kind of them and us because we are stronger together. I really want you to hear me. This is not something you can leave for someone else to do. People of Palestine, I'm challenging us all to make our city a cause worth getting on board with. This video is in English. Let's not forget any of our neighbors. We need to be one. Another secret of success is you need to work for the success of others, not yourself. A rising tide raises all boats, but the tide doesn't rise if you're only working to raise yourself. For another example, look on TripAdvisor. Go write something nice about something to do in Palestine. What do you think visitors think if we don't even say something nice about things we know better than anyone? So let's get to the fun part. Let me ask a simple question. What's the difference between a good flag and a bad flag? What makes a flag design good or bad? Both of these take a squiggly line and run with it, but one goes for simple elegance, and I'm not sure if adding 6 colors and 6 words actually helps the other one. This is actually a thing, the study of flags, vexillology, and there are rules for good flag design. Thank you, New Mexico. That's a win for elegant simplicity with a Southwestern touch. It's not hard to spot flags that break or don't know the rules. Sorry, Milwaukee, you must have skipped out on design class. We who learn from others can avoid being the next bad example. There are only 5 rules of good flag design. It's a short list and it's a simple list. And in fact, simplicity is rule number 1. A good flag is simple. The best flags are those that a child can draw from memory. The flag of Switzerland takes an instant and you've got it. Japan's flag is even simpler. I don't think it's possible to draw the flag of Detroit from memory. I bet most residents of that city couldn't draw a copy while looking right at it. The second rule of good flag design is to use meaningful symbolism. 13 stars and 13 stripes representing the original colonies, one united country. The flag of Scotland uses the cross of St. Andrews. A good flag creates feelings of patriotism and pride. When a flag becomes a symbol for the people who feel that that flag represents them, it unites us, belongs to everyone, and it creates a powerful bond. But flags are personal too. When outsiders disrespect our flag, we feel they're disrespecting us personally. So rule number 1 was keep it simple, and rule number 2 was use meaningful symbolism. The third rule for good flag design is about colors. There are 6 basic colors that good flag designs use, simply and sometimes symbolically: red, green, blue, white, yellow, and black. You might see different blues or greens or whatever, but for the most part, most flag designs actually abide by this rule pretty well. This isn't the rule that, when not followed, results in bad flag designs, but the next rule is a different story. No lettering or seals. What a simple rule. But as we'll see, there are a lot of flag designs that either can't help themselves or they're just copying what others do, even in Texas. Take these 2 examples. They both use lettering and seals. The 5th rule is be distinctive. Here are a dozen flags, and there are many more just like them. They all look pretty similar. But hang on. We're Americans. We're Texans. We think independently. We're not going to just use someone else's rules. Let's poke at them a little. Why does good flag design avoid seals and coats of armor? Well, seals were complicated for document stamping to avoid counterfeiting or forgery, so they're probably going to be unreadable at a distance. Small, detailed elements of design might not work far away or in the wind, and a small post-it note at arm's length does give you the same perspective as a flag up on a flagpole. Okay, what about that part about using words? What's wrong with using words? It's about simplicity and symbolism. Think about it. If you have to use words, then you have to admit that your symbolism has failed. Symbolism, by definition, is not meaningful if you have to explain it. Now, these are world-class flag designs, best of the best. You instantly scanned all 6 and said to yourself, Israel, Texas, Great Britain, Canada, South Africa, South Korea. Some might ask, hey, why is Texas a state flag up there with country flags? Only those who have never lived in Texas. The Texas flag has international recognition, and among the 50 states, we all know that there is only one state flag that enjoys this level of status. But I really want to talk about city flags. We can start with a good one. Let's start with Chicago. It doesn't matter what you or I think, it's the flag of the people. It's their flag, and evidently they love it because it's everywhere. I don't personally care for the shape of these stars. Maybe if I lived in Chicago, I would love them. They represent 4 significant events in Chicago history. I also don't like the pale shade of blue, but those represent bodies of water that aren't meaningful to me. They clearly took red, white, and blue, and stars and stripes, and they tweaked every single element, messed with them, just to be different. Distinctive, I have to admit. Let's look at another city, one that you would think has to play on the worldwide level, New York City. This is New York, New York. Disappointing, isn't it? And it's not just that they broke the coat of arms rule. I'm wondering if they broke the color rule. Is that orange? Nice try, New York. Actually, no, it really isn't a good try. I don't know, maybe the style was popular in 1664, but is it distinctive? No. It even kind of looks like the flag of Mexico without even using green. No sense of independence. Let's shift our focus on into Texas, looking at some city flags that are a little closer to home, shall we? Here are a dozen Texas city flags, and there are many more just like them. I'll have one more slide filled with Texas city flags, but we live in a big state. When we start considering a flag that represents us, it's helpful to see what other cities have done. These cities have each gone through the process of thinking through what represents their people. And I still want to come back to that word, unity. Every city flag, I hope, unifies the people who live there, gives them identity, maybe around something they all have in common. Palestine has much to be proud of, and I think we're all of one mind when it comes to eliminating problems and improving the common good. Helping those who most need it or least able is important. We are united on these, aren't we? We do have the problems most other cities have, but it's up to us to unite to solve, working together. Okay, let's get back to the 5 rules of good flag design and apply them to Palestine. This is a really great idea. Some people might say we have more important things, more pressing problems to think about in Palestine. But Ted Kay, the guy who wrote the book on vexillology, said, if you had a great city flag, you would have a banner for people to rally under to face those more important problems. Okay, for the sake of discussion, where do we start? As already mentioned, one of the foundational positives Palestine already has going for it is that it's already in the great state of Texas. It would be a mistake to overlook state pride. We who call ourselves Texans could take it for granted, but no other state has residents that enjoy the sense of state pride we do. You travel outside the state, try and find other state flags or other state symbols. We live in a city within Loop 256, but our world reaches beyond the loop. A short drive in many directions takes you to Frankston, Buffalo, Corsicana, and Jacksonville. We're south of Athens, east of Fairfield, north of Crockett, and west of Rusk. We're surrounded by people in each of these cities that is a short drive to visit us, to shop here, maybe to bank here, maybe to receive health care here, and maybe to buy a car. If we go and adopt a cool flag, I think the folks in Tyler had better sharpen their pencils to try to keep up. So when we're talking city symbolism, we should build on the strengths we already enjoy. Take the Texas Lone Star. Here are a dozen city flags that have. You can think what you like about each of the designs, but you have to admit each one does take the Lone Star and run with it. That first flag, the people of Plano came up with an interesting idea. Their symbol could almost work without the name of their city. So that design could turn into this one. Take the Texas state flag, change it just a little, and there you are. P is for Palestine, or Panhandle, or Paris, or Pasadena, or Pearland, or Pecos, or Pilot Point. I think we can do better. Here's a modification that makes it fit only Palestine. You've got the Texas flag, you've still got a Lone Star with a little bit of artistic license, a little bit of flair. Now maybe I'm getting ahead of myself. Does everyone know what a dogwood flower looks like? Surely you've seen them all over town. Not just up at Davy Dogwood Park, but on Sycamore and Magnolia, down by those great Victorian houses, or over on Oak Street or Court Street. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Dogwood trees love it here in Palestine. They're happiest growing in the shade of a tall pine or a tall oak. Their four-petaled flowers have an elegant symmetry, and the flowers are usually in layers that just gives these trees an exquisite look. I was searching for other examples of flags that have flowers on them, and I found a beautiful design, a clever one. Some people in Japan came up with it, and I find it inspirational. Japan is divided into 9 regions, which are split up into 47 prefectures. Don't ask me how that works. Prefecture is clearly an English word, and I doubt if the Japanese use that word in Japanese. But the point is that this symbol transcends language. You just sort of get that it's a flower. Well, that got me to thinking, and I had a light bulb come on that I think is clever. All due respect for borrowing the original idea from the Japanese folks. I'll show you. There are lots of cities in America that are proud of their dogwoods. But not only does this design take the dogwood flower and make it symbolic, but it kind of eliminates the need for the letter P. We wanted to eliminate lettering anyway, right? This dogwood symbol has got 4 letter P's built right into it. Can you see them? Not hard to visualize. Here, I'll make it easy for you. There you are. P is for Palestine. But instead of making it obvious, it's a whole lot more subtle. So let's pause right here, talk about colors. One of the rules for good flag design is to use 2 or 3 basic colors. You saw for yourself, there's a lot of Texas cities that use red, white, and blue, colors of the USA and the Texas flag itself. There were a couple of cities that had some individuality. At first, I was inclined to go with the flow on this one, too. The Texas flag is so famous internationally, any city in Texas could take their symbol and replace the Lone Star. But there's 3 problems with that I can think of. First off, I don't want to mess with Texas. To tweak the Lone Star is essentially to create a variant of the state flag. It's not my intent to dilute the power of the state symbol. Secondly, you have this flag and the Texas state flag up on flagpoles, and if there's no wind, folks wouldn't be able to tell the difference. so they'd assume they're looking at two Texas state flags. Thirdly, people, we're Texans. A flag that is strongly independent needs some strength to hold its own right, next to or right under the greatest state flag there is. Remember, rule number 2 was to use meaningful symbolism. If you've been to City Hall on Queen Street, you've seen that we proclaim our city as the home of the dogwood trails. We've told our city council and our public servants that this is who we are. We want our city to be known for the natural beauty our dogwood displays. So there it is on City Hall, and I think we've got this one covered. We could take our symbolism and run with it this way. Of course, we don't want to be the poster child for bad flag design, but I think we're on the right onto a great design here. I'm just going to propose green. We live in the land of tall pines and amazing azaleas because we get more rainfall than other parts of Texas. If we got right down to it, our azaleas could give our dogwoods a run for their money. We have a pretty town in the spring. You look at a topographical map of Texas, we're in the green part of the state. I'm just going to make this suggestion and you can be the judge. So where do we land? A flag that looks like this. This flag illustrates unity, represents all people of Palestine. Green is for natural beauty as well as some thriving agriculture, and it doesn't hurt that it's also the color of money for our thriving local commerce. The interlaced quatrefoil has an elegant simplicity, but most importantly, it's a continuous design. No beginning and no end. 4 petals, but 1 flower. That's a lot like E pluribus unum, Latin for out of many, one. Regardless of color, language, national origin, or even having moved from another state, we who live here and we who work here are united in the pride of our city. Isn't that Palestine? And a child can spot the letter P and can tell you that P is for Palestine. I hope this flag can be a symbol of unity. I think Palestine deserves the prosperity and unity that everyone coming together as one can accomplish. I hope you'll protect and preserve it. Resist variations, just like messing with the Texas flag could dilute something that's better left intact. The annual MLK parade is an example of when the whole city could turn out to proclaim that language or color or gender or economic status or age don't matter, and the state or country you came from aren't important either. Just like the people of Chicago and other cities that have good flag designs, Palestine could benefit from its own flag to represent all our people. In a multicultural city, a flag that symbolizes unity, coming together as one, communicates in all languages. The city and local businesses might use it too. A flag can start on flagpoles and go beyond. There are some who will dream all kinds of ways it can be useful. Perhaps you are such a leader. If so, take the ball and run with it. With a really great city flag, it would be nice if companies felt they got more prestige under our banner than we do from theirs. This flag could be in front of the banks on Church or Mallard, and it would look just fine on flagpoles in front of the Dairy Queen, McDonald's, Chick-fil-A, and Whataburger. This symbol would be just the seal of approval every donut shop in town needs in its front window. Here's a few examples of how you might see Palestine's symbol if it were to get around town. This sticker doesn't exist anywhere, but it wouldn't be too hard to send the design to someone who makes stickers and you could be the first on your block. If the people get behind it, the city who represents you and works for you could too. That's the beauty of a symbol that defines the people of a city. The city works for all people of Palestine, the taxpayers, voters, citizens, and residents. The parks, the roads, the public safety, the water, the airport, all are provided by dedicated people who work for the prosperity of everyone. When the people of a city find a way to express unity with symbolism, to unite under one banner, to work together on things that matter, who knows where that symbolism will end up being used when people are inspired. This flag could be in front of the fire station on Avenue A. Who knows, maybe the fire department could find a few bucks in the budget to spring for a decal for that new fire engine. Ultimately, a city is the people. Don't wait for city employees to get this ball rolling. although our public servants do work every day for the good of the whole city. I hope you'll fly a flag and sport a few stickers. Be part of the spirit of Palestine. This is something city government can't do for us. If the people don't get on board, this bus is going nowhere. This isn't to sell flags or stickers, though we'd hope local suppliers could thrive any way they can. Palestine is a city that has a lot going for it, and there are a lot more nearby who consider Greater Palestine their home. I hope you will please share this video with some of them. There aren't many ways for us to show we're proud of where we live, but this is one thing we can do for ourselves, and we can do it together.